All right. So how are you?
I'm awesome.
Great. How are my friends doing today?
They're good. They're good. Cyrus is doing much better with using his words.
Good.
So.
Good. Okay. So let's talk about. I saw you before our snowcation last week.
I felt like that was spring break.
Yes. I observed you doing math meeting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think went well?
I really like how I got the kids involved with the above, below. And doing a lesson before we do the small group is really, really helped. Doing it the whole group. So they were like, I remember Aaron was like, we just did this. And I was like, yeah, and we're going to get really, really into it now. And they were like, oh. But I think they were engaged. I know, like, we talked about using different strategies to keep the students engaged. It was hilarious. Can I divert from the last time? Today, Miss Jones told me to do a quick whole group lesson on some rhyming words.
Okay.
Make it really fun, a game or something. She knew we were at to stop early because we had the fire drill. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, we're going to go in a circle, and one friend's going to say a rhyming word, and the one friend's going to say a word that rhymes with it. Mm-hmm. And they were looking at me like, and it was just terrible. It was so bad. And I said, Jones, I need help. Not good with the impromptu. I need plans, right? Okay. So she was like, just watch. And she literally, it was like, oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that? She had like a ball, and she was like, you're going to pass the ball, and you have to rhyme really quickly. Such and such, you have to say the word. And that one thing just made it like so much more fun than they actually got it. So I was like, different engagement strategies. Okay.
That's what you think made it different?
The ball, like.
Not the instruction?
Oh, definitely the instruction. Her instruction was like, it made them feel like they were actually playing a game.
Okay.
She was like, we got to do this really fast because then we got to get to the end. And I was like, that's so great. But just, I was thinking about how we talked about implementing more engagement strategies.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's a sidebar.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I actually have notes for two things. The math meeting mm-hmm. and then the small group. Mm-hmm. This was a literacy small group, so we can talk about both of those. Okay. So you said you thought it went really, really well, and kids made a connection between what you did in the whole group.
Yeah.
With the small group. What do you think you could have improved upon?
So long ago, I'm trying to think.
It was the above and below.
Yeah, I remember. I'm trying to remember exactly what I did. Improvement. I would say engagement. Okay. I'm mixing things up because I just did a whole group on beside and in between yesterday. Yep. So I'm like kind of mixing things up now, trying to remember exactly how I did that whole group.
So you had a red dot, and they had to move it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I probably could have made a better connection, from what real world experiences for them. For instance, basketball. When we shoot the ball, it goes above the rim, and then it comes down, it's below the rim. Something that would get them more engaged. Just make a better connection to start the lesson, because they're just waking up and they're tired. I try to have them jump and clap, but sometimes that's just boring for them. So it's tying that connection in, I think I could have did better with that.
And you write these because every class does it differently.
Well, I usually just go from what the small group lesson plan is and think of a quick activity. Maybe I should start writing them so they can be more engaged.
So how do you prep for it? So you look at you made a PowerPoint for this one. How did you prep for that one?
I just thought of an activity that I thought would be cool for them. And
did you do it during nap time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't think that's a problem with it.
Okay.
But I think, obviously, taking more time to
plan it.
To plan it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And I did see a little bit of the one yesterday between and beside. And I just noticed it was it seemed to me that it was a little bit unclear to you what definition of the word you wanted them to know. Okay. Because you interchanged a couple of words. You know, is it up? Is it high? And so kids started to use those, you know, tier 1 vocabulary words that they are familiar with. And I think you gave them too much of a scaffold, because then they weren't internalizing, oh, when I say up, that really means above. And that was, you know, that was the vocab that you wanted them to use.
Clear and consistent.
Yes. Yes. So I think, yes, having the scaffold for them, but it was like an automatic that you gave them that scaffold. Okay. And so they started to use those lower level vocab and not the actual vocab you wanted. And so I also saw the small group where you implemented using the timer.
That really worked.
Yes,
it did.
It did. And that was the first day you had done it, or the second day?
It was the second day.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, it was the second time.
So, let me just read over my notes. Oh, so they were matching beginning sounds. They had the sheet, and there were, you know, letters in one column, and then, was it 3 pictures or 2 pictures? I think maybe 3 pictures, and they had to color in. So there was
they had to color. It was there was 1 picture that they had on this column, the left column, and then 3 pictures. So they had to color the picture that
had the same beginning sound.
Yeah.
So I noticed that it was good modeling from you of what students should do step by step. You repeated the instructions by pointing out what Cyrus did. So I thought this was really, really good, because not only did it give Cyrus confidence, and it like reassured him that he was doing a good job, but also it allowed students, now I understand if they had misconceptions, because you repeated the instructions by pointing out what Cyrus did well. At one point you said, why are you coloring that? I forget what student you were talking to. Remember, we're looking at the letter and then thinking about the beginning sound. I want to push you on, and this happened Tyler did it. D'Angelo did it at one point, and it just kept happening. I want to push you to think about the misconception. So, and this takes me back to something that I wrote. I missed the beginning of the small group. Did you explain the why behind? Yes, why you guys were doing the activity in general?
Matching beginning sounds.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you tell me what was the why?
The why? Wait, I'm confused.
So
why we're doing
to them,
this?
Why are you guys doing the activity?
We're doing this so we can. I think I said something like, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember my opening was, we're gonna grow our brains on beginning sounds. We're going to match the beginning sounds from this column to that column, and color the beginning sound color the picture that has the same beginning sound. I think I said something like that. I'm not really sure. I wish I would have videotaped it so I can.
Yeah, next time I will. So if you said something similar to that, it's still missing the why piece. Why am I learning?
I didn't even understand the question.
Why am I learning?